And we are live with another one.
That's
Good
right.
evening. Buenas noches para las todos. Welcome to another episode of Los Lobos de la Lucha, your weekly CMLL review team. We are here tonight. We have a duo instead of our normal trio. Hello, everyone. My name is Mikey. I'm one of the hosts for Los Lobos de la Lucha. And joining me this evening is my other Boricua brother in arms here, El Buntador the Second, who's showing off the guns, which I wish I had.
Saludos, everyone. Good. Buenas noches. Buenas noches. I want to send a quick shout out to mi isla de Encanto, Puerto Rico, Borinquen. They've just been hit by this latest tropical storm hurricane that's come through. There's been a lot of flooding, a lot of property damage down there. And I just want to send a shout out. And mi corazón está contigo, Puerto Rico. So.
I love it for sure. Unfortunately, we are missing Papa Oso himself tonight. He had to deal with an emergency, but fear not. Hopefully, he will be back next week to join us because it is important he joins us next week because the international tournament is next Friday, and I am stoked.
Yes. Yep.
So, oh my goodness.
Big doings.
There's a lot of things happening. We have the tournament happening next week, the International Grand Prix. We have the Amazonas one happening in October. But in between all that, in like 3 to 4 weeks, we also have the 91st Aniversario show for CMLL. Obviously, we got Mystico versus Chris Jericho, and then we have the Fatal 4-Way. Somebody's losing a mask. It's like,
that's right. Yup.
So
but
exciting.
to get to all that, we gotta go through what we have gone through, and that was this last Friday's Viernes Spectacular from August 9th. And we started our show with a what you would call a tag team, a relevo sencillo with one fall. This paired the Rudo team of Sangre Imperial and Inquisidor versus the technical team of Leono and Electrico. Spoilers, your technicals were your winners for this match, Leono and Electrico. Mikey, what did you think about this opener?
So, for me personally, it's been a little bit since we've seen some of these figures. Like, especially, I forgot that Inquisidor was here. I was like, it's been a hot minute since we started watching CMLL. I was like, where have you been, my friend? But it was really nice to see him. Obviously, as somebody who is religious, I was just like, I don't know how I feel about the getup, but you know what? I got over it really quickly. I just want to put it out there. But I thought this was a fun opener. I think it definitely, it's not fair to compare shows, but I feel that this opening match was a little bit stronger than what we got on the Tuesday show. And I think that's because these four have obviously worked together before, and the chemistry was there for this particular match. Everybody knew what to do. Everyone trusted each other. Bodies were flying all over the place, as you are to come to expect in CMLL. But I thought this was a fun opener for sure.
Yeah, even though with this, it was nice to see with the little botches that happened. Like there was one where Leono went to jump on the rope and he slipped, but Sangre Imperial was still there and still sold the move. There was another small botch when he went to kick Inquisidor, and I don't know if it was too early or what happened, but he had to kick him again but they still got the move off and it looked good. So yeah, it was an exciting match. Definitely a lot of high flying. And it definitely got us ready for this next match, because this next match was, I thought, a lot of fun. Where your Rudo team of Okumura, Espanto Jr., and Dark Magic faced off against the technical team of Legendario, Capitan Suicida, and Valiante Jr. In a relevo Australiano, best 2 out of 3 falls. And the thing that was fun about this match is that the Rudos, they were Rudos. You know what I mean? They caught Legendario, Capitan Suicida, and Valiante Jr. outside of the ring, and they lumped them up. They were doing underhanded tricks, and it looked like they were having a lot of fun. But the big question I have to ask is, who wears the American ring gear better, MJF or Dark Magic?
Oh boy, obviously. Okay, so if we're going, okay, so I'm just gonna pick Dark. I'm gonna pick Dark Magic because I bite my thumb at the MJF, if you will, because I'm waiting until we're further in to start dropping curse words. But I think Dark Magic does a better job of using the American flag and like America as an embellishment, whereas MJF currently is using that as a whole entire personality. So it's not Dark Magic's is not as grating. But Dark Magic is definitely my pick. And then again, I keep saying this every time Okamura is on my television screen. I'm like, sir, how are you this old and still able to do the things that you do? Right? There's a reason that MLW still has you and Satoshi Kojima as their MLW tag team champions. Like, what is happening, you guys?
Yeah, I love his his finisher move, dare I call it, where he ties the legs up and then he sits there with his arms crossed like this.
It's literally giving me
in like a squat.
It's literally giving me like Adventure Brothers Seam Salah Beam vibes. I was like, I'm here for this, bro.
Right. Oh, and I cannot forget to mention that we had Mihei out with the Rudos in this match. Mikey, yeah, right. Do you have any other thoughts on this match?
Again, I thought this was definitely a fun match. I love that CMLL is never afraid to have their talent like go between Técnico and Rudo, because again, in Western wrestling, we're so used to everyone being either face or heel for an extended period of time until they turn, which they use storyline purposes to make those turns, where CMLL is like, all right, you're gonna be a good guy this week, and next week you're gonna be a bad guy, and everyone's like, all right, cool. Nobody argues, nobody gets mad. And you know what? Everyone gets equally booed and cheered, which is fantastic. That's one thing I love about CMLL, is that it doesn't matter. You're going to get booed one week, and then the crowd is going to cheer for you the following week because there's somebody else in that ring they hate. As far as the technical stuff goes, I got to say, even though we don't see him too much, I was like, yo, Legendario kind of has a really fun moveset. I was like, see, if I was in my prime, as I'm back in my day, if you will. I can't say that. I'm 31. I'm like the second youngest on this channel. It's ridiculous. But Legendario has a very interesting moveset, because one thing that he does is not only does he do the high flying stuff, but again, like I say this all the time, and it might be a broken record at this point, but I'm like, he's also has a lot of mat-based stuff, which is very interesting to see. Yeah. So and he seamlessly is just like, all right, so me flipping out the ring didn't take you out, so let's get you back in the ring, and then let me just submit you. Let me put you in a hold. But I have to agree with you. Okamura's finished with that. I'm just like, just give it to me all the time. Yep. This was a fantastic match.
Yep. And then we had Valiante Jr. giving a clinic on that third fall.
Bro, let's talk about that, because I'm like, how, like... He's like, rent is due. I'm gonna earn this paycheck right now. I'm gonna earn this paycheck right now.
He pulled a Popeye. Someone tossed him some spinach, and he just went to town. I don't think there was a ring corner that he didn't bounce off of, and it looked good. Yeah, so he's very impressive. However, your Rudo team of Okamura, Espanto Jr., and Dark Magic do end up with the win in this match, which brings us to notes. Which brings us to our next match, which is another Relevo Australiano, where we had Los Cansaberos, Cansabero, Luciferno, and Virus versus Stigma, Arcalis, and Pegaso. What'd you think, Mikey?
You know, I'm gonna be honest. This is really, at least if my memory serves me correct, for me personally, this is my first introduction to Cancerbero. I was just like, "Sir, that is a name and a half." Like I was
Yeah.
like, "All right then." I thought this was a fantastic match. Previously to what I said about our other match too, all six of them know how to work together. What
Yeah.
I loved is, and I'm gonna harken back to what I said about Vitas during our Fantastica Mania USA review. I was like, you know what? Vitas is kind of killing it right now. I would love to see more of him. And sure enough, a couple weeks later, here we are. And I was just like, all right, Vitas, like, I see you. I see you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like, I love, again, and because Will's not here, I'm going to invoke his spirit when I say the pageantry between these six was so fantastic. I love
It
this
really
so freaking much.
was.
I'm
I
just
mean,
sitting
even
there. I'm like, I have no notes because I was like, my breath was taken away by the pageantry and just how good the in ring was.
right, and even it like their ring gear, where you had the Technicos, they came out in mainly white with blue accents, and then the Rudos came out and they were in mainly black with blue accents, and it was a very good, yin versus yang, and the in ring stuff was fantastic. But the Rudos do end up getting a win in this match. Which brings us to our next match, which was a match relámpago, where we had Rudo versus Rudo, Difunto versus Dragon Rojo Jr. I love me these match relámpagos. I really, really do. And this one, they took it 5 seconds to the 10-minute mark. So really quick, the match relámpagos in CMLL, it's a timed match. It's so you only have 10 minutes, and you only have 10 minutes to either pin or submit your opponent. And they have a timer in the corner that's just ticking down. And when I saw that thing hit like 9:30, I was like, it's going to be a tie. It's going to be a tie. They can't. And then Dragon Rojo Jr. he hit that 450 from the corner, and for the 1-2-3, and I was just like, wow, that was with 5 seconds left. That was very impressive. What did you think, Mikey?
Man, like, so this is not the first Relampago match that we've had since starting CMLL. I will claim this and I will present my wrestling card and people can take it away from me, but this is probably this has been my favorite Relampago match that we've gotten. Again,
Yeah.
I say this every time we get one. I love the fact that part of this match is let's cram as many combos as we can within the time limit. Just like spam. We're like spamming the specials. It's fantastic. You know
Yeah.
what? Dragon Rojo, like just his style of wrestling, and just he's like, I'm gonna kick you, then I'm gonna do this, then I'm gonna do. I was like, he didn't let Difunto breathe. I'm
No.
like, I'm gonna keep my eye on you. Like this was kind of baller. I like you.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing that I picked up was actually from the announcing table, and I had griped about this. Or I think maybe Adolfo the Nerdy Puerto Rican, he had griped about this. I don't know. In one of the AEW reviews, about how the announcers they're not in on the gag, but the announcers here, they were in on the shtick that Difunto is an undead individual.
Let's talk about that, because when he made his entrance, I was like, okay, we literally have Rob Zombie out here. Like he's an extra
right?
in a Rob Zombie movie, and I was here for it.
Yeah, and they were just and they were playing along with it, that they making jokes about like, oh, he needs to go back, he's going to be going back into his coffin, he's he might be missing a few more limbs if he's not, so it was good job CMLL announcers, you did your homework, so week in and week out, love it. So Dragon Rojo Jr. does get your win, your pin, with 5 seconds left to spare. So, very very good match, very good match. Next, we had a heck of a match. It was another Relevo Australiano, best 2 out of 3. But in this match, we had Ultimo Guerrero, Stuka Jr., Gran Guerrero, who are your Rudos, okay? All who've been in Lucha for quite some time, versus Octagon, Atlantis, and Volador Jr., all who have been in Lucha for a very long time. As a matter of fact, I went and did some research, and please, if in the crowd, please fact check me on this, but Gran Guerrero was the youngest luchador in that he entered his first appearance was in 2009. Octagon, his first in-ring appearance was 1981. His first appearance as Octagon was 1989. Atlantis has been wrestling since 1983. And these elder statesmen put on another beautiful clinic. You see, I censored myself for you there, Mikey.
We're far enough in. You can drop the curse word. I will curse for you.
They put on a fucking clinic, and it was gorgeous. You know, and it didn't look like they, like the Rudos when they were doing moves on Atlantis or on Octagon or on Octagon, it didn't look like they pulled any punches. As a matter of fact, you had freaking Gran Guerrero getting launched and splashing both Octagon and Atlantis against the ropes. I mean, these elder statesmen are taking licks, and they are still hanging and putting on an entertaining show. What do you think, Mikey?
I love that you have so much passion for this match, because this ended up being my favorite match from the Viernes Espectacular show. Again, I am so used to seeing Ultimo Guerrero as a face, because he's been mostly a face since we started watching CMLL, and it was really interesting to see him be the Rudo in this match, which I loved. Once I got over the fact, I was just like, dang, thick lies do indeed save lives. But holy crap, like once the match started, it was like, all right, guys, like this is 2 out of 3 falls. Step on the gas and don't let go, because Lord have mercy, all 3 rounds were nuts. But the third and final one, all caution was thrown to the wind. Like everybody was hitting things. You already touched upon it, like the assisted splash from the ramp into the ring.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, big boys do fly. Let's go. Like,
yeah, it was nuts, but in the best way. And I too am going to channel Will and just say how great it was to see these elder statesmen, that are up in their years, but still just doing it. They were just doing it, and it was fantastic, and it was beautiful. I mean, like, yeah, I feel in US in any US promotion, you would be hard pressed to find a wrestler that started in 1983 and moves and looks as good as Atlantis does. So yeah. So this was a great match. Your technicals did end up with the win. Very very entertaining, very entertaining. So then after this, we did have a Chris Jericho spot. He's apparently bringing the learning tree gimmick down to Mexico City. So there we go.
That was the thing. I will say though, as much as I don't like Chris Jericho, what I love that CMLL did is that they put subtitles for their audience to read as Chris Jericho is cutting this
Yeah.
promo. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm like looking at WWE, AEW, ROH, like all the other American promotions. I'm like, it's not that hard to put subtitles on the screen, you guys. Like, what is happening?
Yeah, and I will also give Chris Jericho credit, and I know that he
You're
did
fired.
spend. Yeah, I know, I
Just
know.
kidding.
I know he spent a bunch of years down in Mexico, you know, wrestling in Mexico City and whatnot. But he also did speak a little Spanish. You know what I mean? Dare I say, like half of his promo was done in English, half his promo was done in Spanish. So like he did the bare minimum, which is more than some other American talent that's gone down there has done. So I will give him that credit. I will give him that credit, and we are moving on. So this did bring us to our main event of the night, where on your Rudo side, we had Barbario, Carbonario, Angel de Oro, and Sobrano Jr. coming out in a clown outfit.
Like, what is this? What?
Still, I mean,
Okay. So like originally I was like, what is happening? And then once
right,
we got into his final gear, I was just like, you know what? I kind of want that now. I don't know why.
right.
I loved
Like
his pants. Like
his pants were awesome.
it was
Yeah.
so good.
And then on the technical side, you had Templario, Máscara Dorada, and Místico with Que Malito coming out with Templario. This was a relevo australiano. That's 2 out of 3. You know, this was a good final match. It was entertaining. It I didn't at the end of it, I wasn't like, oh my god, that was, you know, incredible, you know, like some other final matches we've seen from Viernes Spectacular. It was a solid match, but you know, your technicals come out with the win. You know, Mystical did his thing at the very end where with Sobrano Jr., he does his thing, his spin around where he comes out with the Mystical armbar. I'm sorry, I still haven't learned the name of that finisher. And Sobrano Jr., you know, taps out, and your technicals got the win. What'd you think, Mikey?
I do agree with you because I really did enjoy this match too, but it definitely was tough to follow what we saw in the match beforehand.
Yeah.
And honestly, like I loved all the participants. You know, we'll talk about Sobrano Jr. because he pulled double duty this week for us because he
Yep.
was also in the main event on the Tuesday show.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So
In a non-clown outfit.
yes, in a non-clown outfit, which is very important to talk about. I definitely enjoyed this. It definitely is a smart move to have your main event involve, like, I would say probably like the fan favorites, if you will. Obviously, Místico is your face of CMLL right now, which makes a lot of sense. Máscara Dorada is also very featured heavily in CMLL and you know, both in Arena Mexico and as well as when they go other places. And Templario, like, you would have forgotten in this match that he lost to MJF last week, and he's just like, all right, I'm
Yo,
about.
he was flying.
I was like, you would. I
Big
was just
man
like,
got ups.
that's
Woof.
what I said. I was just like, hey, Templario, call me. But yeah, you would have.
Wow.
I forgot. I was like, oh yeah, you lost to MJF last week, but it doesn't show it in this match. Like,
Right?
and you know,
Yeah.
anytime I see Bodybot on my screen, I'm already loving it. I was like, you are so camp. I am here for it. But again, I thought this was a fun match. This was a great match, but it definitely had a tough time following what we had beforehand because that match was fire, as the kids say. But I still enjoyed
Mm-hmm.
this match for what it was.
Yeah. And I tried to do some digging to see if there was like some sort of significance or whatnot for Sobrano Jr. coming out in that clown outfit. And I haven't found anything like any news bits or anything like that. So I guess he just wanted to come out like a clown. I mean, he was still hot. Put that out there. I'd buy him some drinks. Just saying. Anyway,
we're opening Adolfo's door, so to speak, or open the door's door, so to speak.
So Mikey, why don't you go ahead and start up with Martes de Arena, Mexico, because I can't find my notes.
That is all good. So, El Buntador looks through the massive amounts of papers that he has. So, the second show we're going to be covering this evening is the Martes de Arena Mexico show from yesterday, which would have been August 13th, 2024. And we kick off our show with the tag team match as we usually do for one fall. And this is, I'm probably going to butcher this name, so bear with me. Ferecito and Mercurio taking on Angelito and Galaxy. So I was like, all right, cool. I was robbed. I did not get a Mercurio dance in this match. So like -5 stars. Just kidding. I will say, as far as the openers go, I said this when we started talking about the Viernes Espectacular show. I think that opening match that we had on the Friday show was a lot stronger than this one. I think all 4 individuals did fine. Like, that's the best way I could describe it. I think they did pretty good. I wasn't blown away by anything. I also could tell that some of them were thinking about what was the next step in the match, which is very unfortunate. So I'm not necessarily too mad about it per se. But I just thought this was a fine match. So I thought the in-ring was fine. I thought it was good. Nothing spectacular. But El Buntador, what did you think about this particular match? And then second question, is there any merit to what I said? Or do you agree, disagree? Like, how do we feel about this opener?
Yeah, no, you definitely have some points on it. I'm busy flipping trying to find my notes because I did jot some things down. But yeah, it did seem like they haven't worked a lot together, and it did seem like you did have a lot of like waiting for the person to do the thing, moving on to the next portion of the match. Not saying it was, not saying it was a bad match. It was still an entertaining match to watch. Dare I say, this was probably the weakest CMLL match that I've seen in my time watching CMLL. But as an opener, it didn't bring the type of energy to start the show that I wanted it to. So that's those are my thoughts on that.
Again, I agree with you. I thought this was a fine match. This is definitely one of the weaker matches that we've had in CMLL, but I still thought it was great. And then we immediately decided to be like, yeah, so that was okay, but let's get to why we're really here, because we immediately get into our next match, which is another Relampago match, this time with El Audaz versus Captain Susila. This was definitely a lot shorter than I thought it was going to, but I was like, again, they were just flying bodies everywhere. Like, it was nuts. It was crazy out here for sure. Again, every time we see a Relampago match, I love the sense of urgency. I think it is something that we don't get to see too often in a lot of other matches, whether they be in the States or internationally, where there's a sense of urgency in these types of matches. But I thought this was a fun match. El Aduas does pick up the victory here. El Buntador, the same question here. How did you feel about this Relampago match? And, how did you think things flowed?
So I feel that the match Relampago should have started the Tuesday show because this one did have ramped it up. A lot of energy. It's a match with Relampago, so you know that that there's a time limit. So it's a lot more exciting. That was that was pretty much it. It was really good. A lot of great moves. I mean, the two that you had wrestling are high flyers, so they were just pulling some crazy moves. And getting up, and which is something that always amazes me about the luchadors, is that unlike in the US, when they do a high flying move and then are kind of like out of it for a little bit, they would do some like 450 moonsault off the top rope, out to the outside of the ring, and then hop up and jump back in to keep going. So, it was a good match. I would have definitely put this match as the opener for the show.
I agree with you. And we talk about this on other promotions too, but the importance of how you order your match card always definitely adds a different dimension to how, as if you're in person or watching it like we are from home, it definitely helps you. Good pacing will help you be invested more in the matches. And so I feel that maybe if we switched what opened the show this week with our Relampago match, I feel like the flow would have been better. Because once we got past the opener match from the Relampago onwards, it was definitely a really fun show for sure. And
Mm-hmm.
that trend continued in our next match, where we had our 2 out of 3 falls match. And this had Futuro Hombre Bala Jr. and Max Star taking on, once again, pulling double duty, Okamura, one half of MLW's tag team champions, Cozy Max. And he teamed up with Polvora and El Coyote. I
Yep.
still get a kick of the fact that, oh my gosh, it's an actual coyote mess. It's ridiculous.
Yep. And I believe their little faction is called Los Chacales del Ring.
Mm-hmm. I, I loved it so much. I love that they all wore matching vests walking in, like, because
Yep.
we rarely see that when it comes to trios and tag teams. Like, half the time, like, they have similar color schemes, but they don't necessarily match. Nah, this team was like, we're gonna go out there with matching vests, and that's gonna be us. And I love this match. This match definitely picked up and made for the middle of the
Yeah.
pack of the card. I was just like, this is what we needed, because everybody knew what their job were. It was like, all right, kids, let's just do this. Once again, Okamura out here doing things that no normal, like, 60-year-old man should be doing, but he does it
Mm-hmm.
so flipping well.
Yep.
Unfortunately, he is on the losing end here, as Futuro Hombre Bala Jr. and Max Star, your technicals, do win here. But my God, this match was amazing. I love this. This is fantastic.
Yeah.
Abuko, how did you feel?
I need to point out specifically Futuro, Hombre Bala Jr., and Max Star, right? The three of them go to the top of the ring. This was during the third pinfall, right? The three of them go to the top rope, right? You had I believe it was Okamura was in the ring, and then you had El Coyote and Polvora were outside of the ring on separate spots. And Futuro, Hombre Bala Jr., and Max Star, they climb up, and they're kind of like in this cluster, but then the three of them at the same time launch off and land on their separate targets, and like Max Star did a 450 moonsault. Hombre Bala Jr. did a corkscrew, and I think Futuro did a frog splash. I was too mesmerized by the 450 and the corkscrew that I'll be honest, I forgot what Futuro did. But it was gorgeous. It was just so wow. I can't. Yeah, a lot of energy. whenever you see Futuro Hombre Bala Jr. and Max Star in the ring, you know that there's going to be a lot of flying. So, but it was a great match to lead us to the next part of the show. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Okay, so this next match was crazy, and the fact that this was the semi-main event and not the main event was kind of nuts to begin with. But okay, so this was an elimination style tournament match to see who would become the newest member. If I read and understood it correctly, again, don't hold me. My Spanish is like okay at best, you guys. But from what I understood, this was a tournament to see who would become the third member of a faction. So I'm going to
Yes.
tag in El Buntador real quick for a Lucha 101 as to what in the
Lucha
world we
101,
witnessed.
Lucha
So
101, Lucha 101.
take it away, Buntador.
All right. So, yes. So, definitely go back and watch this match. I'm putting this as one of my rewatch for best match of the year matches. But this was a torneo cibernetico to find out who the next member of Los Depredadores was going to be. Yes, Los Depredadores is a stable that was started by Volador Jr. And finally, I got an explanation as to why Volador Jr. comes out with that not opera mask, but that theater mask, that white theater mask, and why other people come out with the white theater mask, because they are part of the stable. They are part of Los Depredadores, which in English translates to the Predators. So, and a torneo cibernetico is a multi-person elimination match where you have two teams of varying sizes, and you have standard lucha rules where you have to either pin or submit, and there's a batting order though to how you enter, and that's the first part. That's that first Royal Rumble part. So in the beginning, you have 10 individuals, or however many. In this case, it was 10. They come into the ring. The first 5 that get tossed are Group B. The 5 that are still in are Group A, and the way, and then from there it turns into like a tag team match where anytime someone leaves the ring, someone else from the team has to enter, and they have to follow this this batting order. So for Group B, the batting order was who got tossed out first, who got tossed out second, who got tossed out third, and for Group A, it's who did the tossing. So for the second, so your entrants in this match were Alom, Dragon de Fuego, Emperador Jr., Hunter, Rayo Metálico, Vegas, Retro, Infarto, Legendario, pulling double duty, and Crixus. This got pared down to your Group A, who is Crixus, Legendario, Rayo Metalio, Hunter, and Infarto. And then Group B, you had Retro, Dragon de Fuego, Vegas, Emperador Jr., and Alon. And it was awesome. I wish that AEW, and I'm just using AEW because I know that they have the working relationship with CMLL. I wish they would do something like this. You know, this was just so entertaining. There was something going on at all times. You didn't have a lot of dead space. It just like boom, boom. The person that ends up winning is Vegas. So Vegas is your new member of Los Depredadores. But it was just all throughout. It was just fantastic. You had you had spots of mat tactician and technical wrestling. You had spots of high flyingness. You had strength, strong, like strong style spots. Yeah, it was a smorgasbord. Like if you're a wrestling fan, you definitely need to witness this whole thing.
I have nothing else to say because you pretty much led that whole conversation, and I agreed with you. I agree with you there. As you mentioned before, Vegas is now the newest member of this faction, which I'm excited to see. This was definitely a banger match, as the kids say. Like, I don't know if it will make my top 3 of the year, but then again, I watch everything, so that's going to be a hard list to narrow down, where it's
Right.
going to be
Yeah.
easier for some of my other co-hosts when we get to the end of the year. But this definitely will probably make top 10 if nothing else crazy happens between now and December, which, spoiler alert, I'm pretty sure some crazy things are about to go down the rest of the year in wrestling, because I love wrestling and it's fantastic. But we leave this match to get into our main event, where once again we had a 2 out of 3 falls match. If it wasn't said before, that tournament match that we just talked about was probably my favorite thing on the Tuesday show, and honestly, it was my favorite match the whole entire week.
Yep.
No, I take that back. Well, I mean, it was fun. I'm a cheat and I'm tying, because that match and then the match from Friday with Volador Jr., Atlantis Octagon, Ultimo Guerrero, Gran Guerrero, and Stuka Jr. Like, it's hard. It's like favorite children. I can't pick
Yeah.
between the two.
Yeah. Right.
It's
Right.
like I can't pick because both of them were so good. But we do get into our main event, where, speaking of Volador Jr., we had a 2 out of 3 falls match. We had the teams of Volador Jr. pulling double duty, Titan, who is getting lots of love, which I love.
Titan
He's
getting
so
love.
good.
Yeah.
And also one of my other personal favorites, Flip Gordon. Love him so much.
Flip,
And they're
flip,
taking taking
flip,
on the team
flip.
of Soberano Jr., El Terrible, and Stuka Jr., who, again, almost everybody is most people are pulling double duty from Friday, which is fantastic to see.
Yeah.
Okay, this is gonna sound really biased, because I love me a good G.I. Joe parody ripoff in Flip Gordon. But there's something so genuine about Flip Gordon that makes you just want to cheer for him. And
It's funny you mentioned that, because that's what I have written in my notes. It's so, when you first see Flip Gordon, it is so easy to just be like, oh, this is Wish John Cena. Right? But then when you see him in the ring, it's a whole different ball game.
there's
He's just so agile. He's so theatrical. He's so he knows he knows the homework, and he did his homework. And he comes in, and every time that I've seen him, he's just it's more than his agility and his ability to do all those high flying moves. It is so much more than that. It's just, yeah, he's a great wrestler. I feel that if he does make a move northbound, that he's going to have to change his shtick around a little bit, because again, when you first see him, it's like, oh, we got Wish John Cena here. But yeah, man, he's just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yo, I need the infantry and Flip Gordon to team up. I'm just putting it out there. Like,
oh, that would be awesome.
That stable would be nuts.
Holy
You have the infantry,
wow.
Trish Adora, and Flip Gordon. Like, if we want to do international
Wow.
pay-per-views and give me those 4 against another 4 at Wrestle Dynasty in January, because we having all these companies come together in Japan, New
Right,
Japan,
yeah.
CMLL, ROH, AEW, Stardom. Like, just give me. Listen, Tony, we're listening. We will help you book the show. Just do it. It'll be fantastic. So that does end the Tuesday show, and technically that does end the week for us. But I didn't tell El Muntador this. But before we sign off, I do want to go over why this upcoming Friday is about to be bonkers and is important for CMLL. So I feel like we could, if it is okay with my co-host here, I would like to spend a couple minutes together talking about this upcoming Friday show, because it's about to be nuts.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
So this upcoming Friday, so Friday, August 23rd, is a special CMLL show. It is going to still be in Arena Mexico. Everybody's going to be watching, but the majority of the show, probably pretty much the whole entire show, minus 2 matches, is all about the
Grand Prix.
The CMLL's Grand Prix. Now, what's interesting with this year is that this is normally they only have 1 Grand Prix, but this year they're going to have 2 because we're getting our first ever Amazona. Well, not first. We're getting an Amazona Grand Prix later this year in October, which the first person in that is going to be Tessa Blanchard, who is the winner of last year's Amazona Grand Prix. Fantastic. But we'll talk about this particular Friday because the men are in action this week. So we have 2 matches before the Grand Prix in which we get some Amazona action where we have Tessa Blanchard and Lluvia, your newly crowned CMLL Women's Amazona Tag Team Champion, taking on Rivales por Definir. So there's that match. I have to look at this. We have a Relampago match between Villano Jr. III and Fugaz. We have, now check this out for so check this next match out for a semi-main event in a 3-on-3. You have Atlantis, Octagon, and Blue Panther taking on Soberano Jr.
Wow.
Those 3 alone, right? Taking on the team of Soberano Jr., Barbaro Cavenario, and Angel de Oro. I'm just like, Atlantis and Blue Panther. I was just like, talk about like old school right there.
Yo, the elder statesman versus the young nippers, the young ankle biters. That's gonna be fun. That's
so like all those matches are gonna be great, but now for the grand poobah of it all is going to be not a 1-on-1, not a 2-on-2, but a 10-on-10 like Grand Prix match where we have Team Mexico versus the international team. So let me just run through these names real quick, and then we'll just talk about some of our faves that are involved from both sides. So we have Team Mexico. So obviously these are all made up of CMLL talents. And on Team Mexico, check out these names. We have Titan, Atlantis Jr., Máscara Dorada, Volador Jr., last year's tournament winner, Místico, Euforia, Esfinge, Valiente, Templario, and Ultimo Guerrero. That is Team Mexico, Butador. And I'm just like, I'm sweating, you guys. Like, I need extra towels. Like, this is about to be banging.
And the other crazy thing is that not a lot, but some of those guys have beef with other people on their team, and now they got to work together. So that's going to be interesting, very interesting to watch.
Yeah. The other thing I noticed too is that a good chunk of Team Mexico also happen to be current champions in CMLL as well. So I was like, this makes a lot of sense that you're putting some of the champions on the team. But again, like you said, they are on Team Mexico, but things are probably going to implode, which is going to be interesting with Team Mexico. But that's not all, because that's Team Mexico. And then we go to the other side for the international team, and it's just as nuts with who we got. So I am going to do my best to talk about them and what country they're representing. So on the international team, representing AEW is Claudio Castagnoli. Representing New Japan is Yota Tsuji, which I was like, yes, I am here for this. Wow. Representing Rev Pro in the UK is Robbie X. So I'm just like, we got glimpses of Rev Pro when we had Michael, the Rev Pro champion.
Yep.
So we have Robbie X representing Rev Pro. Representing Ring of Honor is Kyle Fletcher. I was just like,
Kyle Fletcher. Back in Mexico City. Woo!
I am just like, I can't.
Love that.
Now, this is a throwback name for anybody who knows wrestling, but representing MLW and also representing Canada, Davey Boy Smith Jr. I'm just like, holy shit.
I was just
we got the OG. We got an OG in the house.
Yeah. Damn.
But let me tell you, like those 5 names alone, but then it just gets better because representing one of my favorite people, my favorite faction tag teams in AEW right now, representing AEW and MXM Collection is Mansoor. I am.
Yes.
I'm gonna be honest. Mansoor is like the outlier for me in this whole team, but I am so here
Yeah.
for it. I want him to like shock the world, and I'm so here for this.
I'm interested to see if he does the MXM shtick without his partner and
Without Masay.
down, yeah, and down in Mexico. That's gonna that I'm interested to see that. I'm also unusually excited to see Claudio Castagnoli in Mexico City.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
pair him up against Euphoria or Templario.
We will
Woo,
talk about matchups in a second because after
man.
Mansoor, we have Akira representing MLW. So I got a sneak peek at what he can do at GCW's Bloodsport. This man will kick your face in. It's going to be fantastic. Also representing MLW, representing South Korea, is Ikuru Kwan, who is also a very like heavy striker too, which is fantastic. And then
Interesting.
rounding out the international team representing New Japan Strong is Rocky Azúcar Romero from the United States. So listen, I am in love with Rocky Romero. I think he does not get enough credit for bringing all these people together. And
Yep.
he's going to be interesting. I'm like, which Rocky Romero are we getting? Are we going to get the one that plays along with the teammates? Are we going to get the very cocky Rocky, which I love. And that
Mhm.
rhymes. But then the more interesting thing is representing CMLL on the international team is Mr. Flip Gordon
It's good.
himself.
Flip,
Gordon.
flip. Yep.
But I'm just like, once they gave us all 20 participants, El Buntador, I'm not gonna lie, like I had to lay down for a minute. I had to lay down for a couple hours because I was spent after watching seeing all these names. I was just like, don't make me pick favorites.
Yeah. Well, yeah. When I saw this roster, I was like, wow, this is gonna be a fun night. I can't wait. I'm like I was talking about. I'm excited to see Claudio Castagnoli. Please put him up against one of the big movers from CMLL, Euphoria, Templario. Right. I think that would be fantastic. Kyle Fletcher put him up against Atlantis Jr. So we get that rematch. Much excite there. And yeah, I'm excited to see Davey Boy Smith Jr. Because that just kicked me in the nostalgia feels. You know what I mean? So, very excited. I'm very excited to see how this plays out. What the setup is. So far with the tournaments that CMLL has done, they have all been very exciting, all been very captivating. So yeah, I'm ready. Body's ready. The will is willing.
Body is ready. I will make sure to send El Buntador multiple towels because it's about to get hot and heavy in here. Because that is main eventing, which means this is probably going to be like a 45-minute, 50-minute match, an hour maybe, and I'm here for it.
I was about to say it's probably going to be the last hour of the show. Is this?
I am so ready. It's going to be so good.
Oh boy.
So that is going to be it for us from here at Los Lobos de la Lucha. We got a crazy Friday show next week, which I cannot wait to review. And honestly, that'll probably be the majority of our review next week.
Yeah, right.
But I'm super excited. And I can't wait for you to join us next week to talk about it, as well as all the other things that go on in the world of CMLL. So from myself and El Buntador, and in spirit with us, Papo Oso himself, Will, and the rest of the BC Wrestle Pod crew, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay biconic, but more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We will catch you next week for all the tournament goodness. But until then, sayonara, adios, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Billy Stark's outro. Bleh.